Here we go. Hello, everyone. I should move my mic to the top of my OBS. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the third episode of Watchers on the Wall. Apologies for the wait. I, as always, am Roy Rogers of Second Sons and the White Book. Joining me for our episode is our usual cast. Jesse Carpenter of the White Book and Second Sons and the Wars to Come. Whew, already out of breath. And we are joined by Jesse's fellow Wars to Come co-founder, Chris, husband to the Red Priestess Thompson.
Not anymore, apparently.
Not anymore, apparently. Rip Mel. Our little internal chat was already blowing up. If you could just look at Jesse's face, you can see just how excited he was by this episode. So we'll start with CT, who seems to be somewhat good-humored here. CT, what did you think of this episode?
This episode was terrible. I hated this episode, but it's just like all the stress is gone, the relief is gone. Like everything that we've theorized for years about just didn't matter for this version of the story. So it's just like, all right, all that stress is gone. Let's just move on. We'll get into it when we get into the scene by scene. But I don't know. It's like whimsically bad to me. And Jesse's just like, I'm gonna kill myself.
This is the worst thing I've ever. I literally feel like I've wasted 10 years of my life. I know I'm always positive and I'm super sorry, but I'm literally on the verge of tears just because it's so fucking bad. All this prophecy they build up, and then the one prophecy that matters is something that fucking Melisandre says to Arya in a goddamn
Season 3
restaurant.
episode.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
John doesn't matter. This is dog shit.
He matters. He hid from a dragon for 10 minutes.
I mean, I heard Jess laughing right there, and Al is currently trying to figure out Twitch to blow up the chat here. I
just don't understand it. Why?
I think
this direction doesn't make any sense. Now we just have to watch Cersei and Euron jacking off for 3 weeks.
But this is what we knew was always going to happen,
well,
right?
No, that's not true. To be fair, we got to give credit where credit's due. Our ex-co-host Aaron Glazer is the one who called it.
He did call a couple things here in this episode.
He called the big strokes here.
Glazer being right makes me 100 times more mad.
but I'll give him the credit. He said, this is all David and Dan's version from this point on. Their vision. We got exactly what Glazer said we would get.
I mean,
hack TV writing.
Here's the thing, though. What's the best way to put this? I think that this episode, was actually what's the way to put this? Endgame really proves that you can pay off a bunch of stuff that's been set up over a long period of time that's really complicated and difficult and not satisfy everyone and screw some things up in my opinion, but land most of it and provide emotionally satisfying ending to a bunch of stuff and ignore a bunch of stuff that you set up and not pay off a bunch of storylines but still come up with something that feels emotionally satisfying and says goodbye to the characters and the story and the arc. And this episode did the opposite of that. I fundamentally felt unsatisfied, and not even just because it didn't pay off any of the things I care about. It didn't do the whole Tolkien-esque high fantasy stuff that I really wanted for a lot of it. It just kind of just happened, most of the episode, and
it did with a whimper, not a
whimper. Yeah, and I don't have a problem with Arya being the person who does it.
I don't either. I just have a problem with the way it was over Hollywoodized. Her final stroke was just so.
It was there was so many different there was 3 different callbacks to Arya related things. I would not be surprised. I mean, they basically said it was from George. Now they didn't explicitly say it was from George, but they did say 3 years ago when we found out that Arya was going to be the one who did this.
That's not what they said.
They said 3 years ago in the after thing. They said 3 years ago.
I thought in the thing they just did, they said when we decided to have Arya.
I thought it was
their call.
3 years ago.
They said that it was their call.
They said it was their call. That's what I thought, yeah.
They said they didn't want to give it to John because it was just going to be too conventional.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
The impression I got was that
It's the end of a book. I'm fine with it being conventional. Let Jon kill the Night King.
Or
That's the whole
Dany.
point.
Either one
He
of
is
them.
Azor Ahai.
Well, yeah.
There
All
is
right.
no Azor Ahai in this dojo, Jesse. Apparently.
Yeah, the Unsullied are dead, Noah. Rip.
Most
Dog.
yes, no. Most of the Unsullied are dead.
Yeah, dude. Golden Company for life.
I
Euron's
think-
about to run this shit.
Jesus.
It's over.
I
Yeah.
had a pretty bad feeling when Mel just kind of showed up unceremoniously. It was just like, the prophecy just doesn't matter, does it? At all.
Why'd she come from the north? And then, like,
Well, she never left, I guess. Well, she went to Dragonstone, right, in the last season, and
I
then
thought she was going back to
Essos, right? That's what she said at the
yeah.
end of the last season.
I hope next episode it just starts on a beach and Grey Worm and Melisandre are just hanging out. Like, fuck, it's over, boys.
He made it. He definitely made it.
I mean,
Again.
so like,
Brienne made it. Jaime made it. Dude, everyone made it.
so
Except
I mean,
my boy
Not
Theon.
Jorah, not Theon.
okay. So how do we want to do this? Do we want to do the major beats, or do we of this? Like, do we want to break the battle into the 3 parts? Like the first part up to when they close the gates, the second part up to when they sort of like.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do the first part of the battle.
All right, so the first part of the battle, right? It opens with Melisandre and the Dothraki's plan, and the Dothraki charging the army of the dead for reasons that make 0 sense. But it's like I told Alla, and it's time to buy.
This whole battle was planned by an 8-year-old.
There's literally
They were tired of paying them Dothraki boys.
All right, I'm gonna just warn you. I'm just gonna warn you right now. I'm gonna say it. Endgame spoilers incoming because it's the last major pop culture thing. Like time travel in Endgame, it doesn't matter. Like, don't think too hard about the plan or any of those things. Just follow the logic of the story.
I'm not like when I get into my bitch fest for this. It's not even gonna be about the battle planning itself. It's basically all cosmetic. So.
Well, it's all for me plot. It's all plot internal to the show and character, not like the specific like. I don't know why they lit the shit. So anyway, they charged the army of the dead. Rip Ghost, my boy Ghost, R.I.P.
So Jess just argued with me about that. And she doesn't think that because like we did not get confirmation that he was dead, but he definitely just ran into a charge and then we never saw him again. But the issue is like no one said anything about it.
Like,
I'm convinced they won't even mention Ghost again in the rest of the show, so it'll be unanswered, right?
Like, I was hoping that Ghost would come back and save Jon, like at some point, like, but no, they just don't use the direwolves are a headache for them, and they have been since the first season. And let's never forget they killed Shaggy Dog off screen, and my boy Summer was done so dirty by this show, like, no.
When Summer was killed, somebody who was watching at my house literally stormed out of the house. They were that upset. So, yeah, the direwolves have not been treated fairly.
No. I mean, considering the amount of money they spent on cool dragon fighting in this episode, they could have gotten a little bit more direwolf action.
Yeah. So my biggest beef with the first third of the battle is I couldn't see fucking anything that was going on.
I had no idea what was happening.
That was the whole point, though. That's why the Night King summoned that. That's
but
Winter
there's
Storm.
no for your cinematography to be bad just because the story made it dark. That doesn't mean you make your show unwatchable.
Other way around, they could like a giant snowstorm makes them save money on CG effects because they don't have to animate the whole Army of the Dead in every sequence, right? So
it looked so bad. It looked so bad, and the editing, the editing was more frantic than ever. Like the cuts, like if you time it, like the average cut in these battle scenes now is like 0.04 seconds. I swear to God, like break it down. It's just nauseating to watch.
I'll disagree. I found most of it to be pretty
more
effective.
favorable as we go because I actually think the second section was way better, and the last section was actually far better from like a filming aspect and effects and everything. But that first 20 minutes was real hard to watch.
Well, it's because that's the most.
Here's the thing. I think it's the most realistic thing they can do when showing a battle, but it's bad television.
Yeah, it's bad television. It's lazy.
Like I don't know that it's lazy. Like it's tough to get those shots. It's a lot of work, and I
money.
think they want us to appreciate it. But 20 minutes of it is too much.
Yeah, they were doing the best they could to not show us stuff at the beginning because obviously and such.
Yeah.
So
I mean, like, I do agree with you, CT, and I just simply think because even though HBO spent ridiculous amounts of money on this, it's still nothing compared to what a movie can do.
right,
And even movies that have just a huge amount of budget, including Endgame, including Lord of the Rings, including lots of stuff, like don't always pull off these big open field battle stuff. So like
right.
I guess I'm willing to be more forgiving from like a logistical thing. I think for what television with even like just the limits of a television budget just from a logistical level, like I'm willing to give them a little pass. They did their best. I think the storm was a little on the nose to disguise some of the logistical problems they had, but
Mhm.
it was like fine. It wasn't necessarily logistically satisfying, but I will give them credit. I really did like the idea of the zombie horde not being so much just about like a regular army, but they're zombies, but the fact they just like kind of like slammed into the army of the living and just kind of like started pushing them back and clawing over them and taking them out kind of like slowly just through like attrition and just wearing them down. I thought that was a really cool concept of like what a zombie army would operate on in an actual battle versus like Walking Dead style stuff, right? Like I thought that was well thought out, that they did do that pretty well. So
The trench was super underwhelming.
yes,
Because it just felt like it was super unbelievable that even stopped them to start with. Like I felt like the whites could have just been pouring over that anyway. So like the scene of them trying to cover it up felt just like extraneous because I was like, I don't think that shit was gonna stop them to begin with.
actually, the most embarrassing thing about the trench thing was John was just like on his dragon, sitting there, and like they're like waving for Danny, and he's like,
That's the thing. They spent a lot of time idle when they could have just been lighting up the fields, the trenches, like any. They could have been lighting up literally anything to help. But they were just like dramatically not around for whatever reason.
Fair.
So that was kind of like too. I think so. Like we were talking about, like they're worried about the budget for the first part of the battle. I actually think like that's where you have to use creativity to solve these problems. I actually think people would have been really forgiving if we didn't even see the field battle. What if we were only hearing about the field battle, or like they could have found a way to just make us the people in Winterfell, right? Like we don't know what's happening. We see stuff like we see dragons flying around overhead. We hear things going on outside. Maybe there's just like interactions with characters inside the gate. But like maybe we don't even see the field battle.
Yeah, maybe. But I think they wanted
people would complain about. But I mean, I don't know. It's an alternative. They could have tried it.
Yeah. I think they wanted to give people some of that like Tolkien-esque Lord of the Rings style stuff, and they did their best. Like it's in that like how am I put this? For me, that like logistical stuff, it's really hard for me to give them a hard time about.
My hope and dream,
more the character and plot that I have to.
My hope and dream is that after we get done with this tonight, I rewatch the episode, and I feel better about it. I hate that I've been negative to this point. I just like.
I don't think he will feel better about it.
I don't.
He will.
Understand.
It's just in Jesse's personality to feel better about it.
I just feel like I'm not upset that I've been wrong for 8 years about everything that I've literally ever said. I'm not upset by that.
You're not wrong. I mean, because
I just feel
not the show.
I feel very unfulfilled by John's story. Like he was the hero.
Well, he could still. Like, I mean. Here's the thing.
The hero is going to be the one who kills Cersei and not the Night King? Like,
no,
I don't understand.
No,
I don't get it.
Here's the thing. Like, I mean, we really want to go back to our last episode. Glazer was right. And we are going to get a Jon and Danny conflict. I mean,
we have to now. We have to. How else are we filling that time? Like,
and so
God.
John's going to be the hero by winning. He's going to sit on the Iron Throne.
And I think 100% of it. I think 100% more of like. Where my frustration comes from is we learn nothing about the White Walkers, the Long Night, the Night King. We learn nothing.
We were never supposed to.
We should.
I mean, so I think here's what I'm gonna say. Like I think what this episode shows, and again, White Glazer was right, but it's pretty, is that the filmmakers of the show are more interested in the Cersei, Danny, Jon political conflict than they are in the White Walker conflict. So the question is like, what note do you want to end it on? I think like it seems to me the way the books are structured is that gradually it's going to be the reverse. Like George is going to gradually give us more and more and more and more of the high fantasy stuff as the political stuff sort of winds its conclusion, and it's going to basically reverse. Where if it was how the books, at least by my logic, by my feeling of what the books are, is it would be reversed. So the first 3 episodes, if it was George's original vision, would be dealing with Cersei, and then the last 3 episodes would be dealing with the White Walkers, and it would end on defeating the White Walkers and whatever the aftermath of that is.
I think people who watch the show, maybe like especially in Jesse's case, are just. I feel like the show played up the White Walkers far more than George has up to this point. So it felt like maybe we should have gotten more for this resolution, but it's like, I mean, really, the Night's King, even though he was given a focus for the White Walkers, he still was never really a character.
Yeah.
So it's like he wouldn't be a satisfying conclusion. So I can understand why they went this way. But yeah, I mean, if you're not into like the Mad Queen Cersei thing, like I can see being super deflated for the last 3 episodes.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it does take a lot of the wind out of the last 3 episodes.
Yeah.
And I get maybe this is what more people want. Like maybe this isn't like maybe I was just in the wrong the whole time. It's just like the prologue in the books and literally the first like it all starts with the White Walkers. Like
Right.
I wanted it to I wanted that to go to the end. Like
I definitely wanted to see what it would be like for them to fuck up the country, like a reasonable amount, which we just didn't get. I mean, I was still expecting things to play out basically the way they did, but I thought that they would get a little further because now it just kind of feels like it was always just this small part of the story that was exclusive to the North, and it was like Cersei was right.
I don't know.
I am really a threat to King's Landing. Like that's kind of a bummer.
Cersei's Cersei solved the one. Like that's it.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah,
okay,
it's kind of a bummer. The Walkers.
We can go back to the
really not
format of the episode. The first part of the battle was just a little hectic for me. I do think that it was shot like I got what they were trying to do. It just didn't land for me. Like I thought the Mel coming back and like lighting the swords on fire was cool. I didn't like that they just like ran out to the middle of nothing.
Yeah.
And maybe that was like for budgetary purposes or something.
It was definitely for budgetary purposes.
Which is maybe fine, like because like I feel like we'll get something better in the books or something. But like, I thought Mel coming back and just like lighting shit on fire was cool, just because like I like the R'hllor stuff. Like I enjoy Melisandre as a character. I find her interesting. I find all the magic stuff like super interesting. And like,
do you feel like Mel redeemed herself for all of her character trips that people hung up on for all this time?
And like, I still think like the dynamic between her and Jorah are super interesting because like she's here to save the day, but Jorah like can't get over Princess Shireen's death.
You mean Davos?
Davos, yeah.
Who did I say?
Jorah.
Jorah.
Oh, rip.
Rip indeed. Rip Jorah.
Definitely wasn't too thrilled about that. Hey, all he had to do was hang out for like 5 more minutes. But we'll get there.
But yeah, is there anything else we need to say about the first? Does Dolores die in the first part or the second part?
He did die in the first part.
In the first part.
He was our one major death in the first structure of the battle.
Yeah, which was about as predictable as the sun rising. Like, I mean, he was like, I think on the top of everybody's death list.
He was real high.
Him and Beric were on mine.
Yeah.
I mean, it was pretty uneventful, so there's not really a whole lot to say. I mean,
yeah, it was, you know.
He died by Sam. Sam saw it, and then Sam cried for an hour. So, and almost died. 75 times.
Yeah.
Sam definitely did a lot of crying.
I mean, to be honest with you, I just expect him to just kill Sam. But did we see Gilly surviving?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody in the Crypts bit it, right?
Any important characters, obviously.
No one important.
Yeah.
I thought for a second Sansa was going to.
No.
I really did.
We were trying to figure that out.
Once it was clear to me that they were 100% ending the White Walker plot, I was like, Sansa can't die, because like without Sansa, there's like half the drama is drained out of like, what do you do for 3 episodes?
I was so let down halfway through. There was literally parts. There were literally parts of me that I was like, the White Walkers are just gonna win here. Everyone's gonna die, and then Cersei's the hero, and that's the bittersweet part. Like they find a way to kill him. Like I literally thought that for a second. I was like, this is the worst thing ever.
No.
All right, so moving on to the second scene.
All right.
Second, third, I guess.
That's them pulling back in. That's the crypt scenes.
The crypt scenes.
That's the dragon scenes.
It's the dragon scenes up to basically
everything besides like the Godswood in the last few seconds.
No, I think that the middle third is like up to when the dead rise the second time. I guess would be the middle third.
Okay.
So we get
We're in the crypts. Let's do the crypts. So they were behind Ned's. It was Ned's like tomb, right?
Yes. You saw Ned's shoulders, absolutely.
Like,
but he didn't rise. Alla did not get her dream of zombie Ned Stark.
I just wanted a hand. I wanted a hand to break through the crypts and like then just freak out and then run off. Like something.
I thought it was weird that they raised people from the crypts, but they didn't raise anyone important.
I honestly thought for like 2 seconds that we were gonna see Kat and everyone like as a fuck you to everybody, and then but then nothing. We got nothing.
They'd have to pay Michelle Faraday.
Correct.
So.
They would have had to pay any of those people, and obviously they didn't do that. So, but I'm just saying, like it's fun. Obviously, it's disappointing the route of the zombies busting out of the tombs, but and not having anything important.
So I think they set up a couple of things that are clearly going to be important, right? So Tyrion and Sansa reconnected, both on one hand, like that episode. Like if you are what's the Tyrion Sansa a Tusan fan here? What I don't know. Tisana, I don't know what a
the whole Theon Sansa shipping thing didn't pick up too much steam, did it?
No, but if you're a Tyrion Sansa fan person, you get a lot in this episode. On one hand, they ran on your parade where Sansa's like, you have to choose between me and the Dragon Queen, and then Sandy being the best BFF that she is and being like, fuck you guys, you'd all be dead without Dany. But then they make that like really visceral connection at the end when they both are like, we aren't gonna just sit here and hide. We're gonna try to help protect people, I guess is what they were doing.
Yeah,
because I mean, like all their
Romeo and Juliet it and just fucking be like,
all of Sansa's people were just dying behind her.
Yeah,
Tyrion was just drinking.
So I don't know. It adds an additional wrinkle, right? So like if Sansa put a worm in Tyrion's head about, we have a connection. You know. I'm not even saying romantical, but just like Tyrion's respect for Sansa.
Maybe now that they'll be like, because I'm sure Dany will want Sansa's troops from the north, like the 3 that are left. And I'm sure Sansa will be like, we have to rebuild here. And I'm sure like maybe Tyrion will be like, try to make them up and like get the help from the north or something. Because right now it's probably only going to be Jon, because he's not really a Northman.
Maybe Jon. Like we don't know what the conflict. I mean, there's clearly gonna. I mean, the trailer made it seem like there is going to be a conflict between the two of them. Like Jon was pensively staring a bunch about Dany's actions there. So we'll see.
Jon very well.
So other things, I guess. With the major death in here was what? Was there a major death in the middle part?
Miss Little Mormont.
Oh yes, Lyanna Mormont done.
He called the death of the girl.
I mean, poor Lyanna. Rip the House Mormont.
Yep, R.I.P. Mormonts. That's it. This death was like not that great.
I think it was pretty fun. I mean,
I thought it was pretty cool. We saw 1-1 again. I don't know. I thought
the whole like, oh, I'm dying, but I'm gonna kill you too, and like in the grand scheme of things, it didn't matter. So it was like
it was still a cool scene.
I mean, it was still a good send off, I guess, to the character. I guess
it wasn't as bad as Glazer thought it was gonna be, right? Like he thought it was gonna be just like horrible shock value, like uselessness. Like I mean, she did do something, and her death fit her character, which was at least reasonable. But like it wasn't a very exciting death. Like
I'm wearing a Bear Island Loyalist shirt right now, so I feel the need to cry for Lyanna Mormont.
I mean, that they're in the show universe. They are a extinct house, so
they be dead.
I was
Unless you
surprised.
want to dip into theories and we talk about all Tormont's kids, but technically, the House Mormont is dead.
Yes. I
Dead or
was really
alive.
surprised Tormund survived this episode.
We didn't even see Tormund that much, right?
He was in the background fighting a lot.
Yeah, he was.
He didn't get any hero shots, which is really weird.
Which is fair, but like I was also surprised that there was not a lot of Brienne and Jaime in this either.
Yeah,
like I expected way more. I mean, I was expecting Brienne to die, so I was 100% wrong.
Yeah, I think we all did. I mean, I did. I thought she was gone for sure.
Yeah.
He squeaked it out. Still there.
No, like I mean, I'm not a big believer that deaths are. How do I put this? That deaths are like what make these kind of conflicts interesting. But I feel the show likes to pay off deaths, and the key thing is like a lot of characters just don't have a lot of things to do, particularly with 3 episodes left, and I just don't feel like there's just a lot of room for them to get the moments that they deserve, and they gave a lot of characters those moments last episode, so if they were going to say goodbye to them, now was the time to do it.
Right.
But
what does Brienne still have to give us? That's the question, right? Like,
I guess something with Cersei.
Must be, but
oh,
maybe there's more to those of us that think Jaime and Cersei are gonna go together. Maybe Brienne has more to do involving that scenario than we think.
Absolutely. So
I'm curious if we learned about like if they spend any time on it, like, oh, can they come back? Like, is there any chance of that? Are they extinct forever? Like, will we rebuild the Night's Watch? Like, will we not? Like, I don't know how that works or how that looks. And that part,
we don't need a Night's Watch anymore, right?
We don't. I mean, they're gone. All of them.
We don't, because the wildlings are over there. I mean, like, so I have no idea, but if they can come back or not, like, I don't know.
At least in the show universe, they're dead, right?
Yeah, I imagine that is all.
I'm
just going to say in the books, if they kill one White Walker and it's just they all fall, it's going to be so disappointing.
Well, what was really disappointing and surprising was that the Night King's posse didn't do shit in this fight.
Yeah.
Like, I was expecting them to show up, like, as an emotional moment being, like, the dead or at least in a standstill with the living, and then you get, like, the womp.
That's what irritated me about Theon's scene so much, is that he just, like, ran into them, and it's just like, you're running into a dozen White Walkers? Like, come on.
He knew he was dead.
Huh?
He's going to try to take as many out as he could.
I felt like he would have had a stronger character moment if, like, he made the Night's Watch, like, if he made the Night's King come to him.
But the thing was, there were all walkers around him. He didn't know that they couldn't just converge on him. He was trying to kill the main bad guy.
Yeah, I get that. But I don't know.
I mean, they all
Your felt bad.
I mean,
what do you do with your fucking bow, Theon? Jesus.
Bran said in the last episode, and just set us up for this moment, was like, if you kill the Night King, it's done.
Yeah.
So that's what the show set up, and that's what the show paid off.
I understand like Theon's thought process. It's just like he was kind of boneheaded about.
I mean,
his final charge there.
But go ahead.
Just, like, protected Bran to the end. Like, stayed with Bran, made the Night King come to him, get in his face, and just be like, no, as long as I'm alive, you're not getting to Bran. Like, even if he doesn't even, like, make a move. Like, I can see him just... I mean, everybody in this episode is just trying to, like, sneaky stab the fucking Night's King anyway. So, like, Theon could have been a little bit more, you come to me about it.
But we skipped ahead again, which is hard to do. So, let's talk about a little bit about the Arya horror movie stuff. Which, if you watched the Dave and Dan interview thing, they were like, we need to break up the feel of the episode so you don't have the same thing over and over again. I disagree strongly. I did not like the Arya stuff. I was like, it felt like one of those annoying QuickTime events in a Telltale game where you're like, hey, oh wait, there's a zombie here. No, press X now. No, press Y now. And it's just like, oh my god, yeah, okay. The sequences.
Also, see the point that it feels out of place. I liked how it was done. It's actually one of the.
It was beautifully shot. Like it was.
It was competently filmed, which is why it was like a nice break from what we'd had the first half of the episode. But yeah, I mean, it does feel out of place pacing wise for sure.
I mean, it's not even that it felt out of place. It just felt like all versions of the scene from Jurassic Park with the raptors. Like the first time I saw that when I was like 9, when Jurassic Park came out, I was like, "This is so cool!" But I've seen that same fucking sequences, and then and I'm sure Jurassic Park is not the first one, but it's just like
Raptors are cooler than zombies though. So.
is like just inferior. Like I'm just like, okay, yeah, sure, okay, Arya's gonna go here, and now she's gonna go over there. She's gonna hide under there, and then we're gonna think she's gonna get caught, but she doesn't get caught, and then it's just like, oh wait, she is caught, run! And
Just
then
like, why doesn't she just climb on top of the bookcase?
I don't know.
Stop talking. Stop breaking the logic of the show.
Barrick's death was really cool.
Barrick had a pretty alright death, yeah.
Like I thought that I wish that would have maybe went to a better character, but it maybe makes sense to Arya because Arya felt like she was wronged by Barrick, and Barrick apologized in the last episode. And like this was his redemption, and like
Barrick
kind of.
Well, Barrick said he always was, had Arya's best interest in mind, so he finally had to prove it,
I thought, I mean, Barrick's death was fine. Like, you probably shouldn't throw your flaming sword.
Mel was like, I could bring it back. Nah.
He served his purpose. He got you here. I mean, so all right. So how about this?
Wrecked, yeah.
So what do we think? I mean, the Hound. I mean, we were sort of reminded that the Hound and Arya have a strong connection, which was a little bit like undermined in the previous episode, where there's some like awkwardness there, and you weren't 100% sure where the Hound and Arya sat. And then of course we're reminded here again that at the end of the day, the Hound does. It's interesting that what the show has gone for is a stronger connection between Arya and the Hound than Arya Sansa, which is what the book fandom views as the stronger connection. So that's an important thing to keep in mind, I think, for us book that maybe.
What was with the regression with the Hound here? I thought the Hound had sort of gotten over his fire thing.
Well, he did. But I guess, I mean, watching the Army of the Dead brutalize everybody for...
I thought that he had that strong character moment where he kind of got over the fire, but...
Where he stared into the fire and saw the future.
Yeah, he sort of embraced it, and then it feels like here he just kind of regressed back into being like, oh, I'm fucking scared. Everything's on fire.
But
did you guys enjoy the whole, winter ice thing?
What winter ice thing?
The dragons.
Oh, you mean the dragons fighting?
The literal battle of ice and fire?
I thought it was pretty well done for what they...
the beginning part where it was just like, it's going to be foggy and cold.
No, I mean, I don't...
literally bitched about that already. The episode looked bad for a very long time.
I mean, I just feel like they had to do it. So it's just kind of thing, just like the final fight in Batman vs. Superman is really dark and blurry because... Animating Doomsday clearly is massively expensive, and even that movie couldn't afford to animate Doomsday well enough, right, for the whole movie. So you shoot these there's a reason why so many giant action sequences in movies happen at sunset, at night, all these things, right, so that they can save money on animation and just dumping fog.
They're just becoming a crutch for CGI. This wasn't a problem when they made the Battle of Helm's Deep. It was dark, but boy, it was well shot and everything was clear, and it was all practical.
Lord of the Rings had a little bit.
Not all of it. Not all of it. Come on, CT. Let's be fair.
I mean,
a lot of it was practical, but the big giant battle things were.
Yeah. But I mean, when they get into the nitty gritty of it, it was pretty much all practical effects. They used a lot of CG in the wide shots, but that was it, right?
I don't know. It's been a long time since I watched the more dramatic special features of the Lord of the Rings.
Double down on let's CGI everything because it's cheaper, the way they do now.
I mean, that's the show's solution to any large thing, though, because that's all that they can't. But anyway.
I thought
do we want to talk about the dragon fighting, though? Because that was pretty well done.
I actually kind of enjoyed the Rhaegon Viserion interaction. I thought it was kind of neat.
And Drogon, I think, that fight was pretty well done.
The whole Dany going down and then being piled up kind of stupid, but I don't know. Somebody had to save Jon, but they should have got the fuck out of there again real fast. The dragons on the ground are doing nobody any favors.
I think some of it was meant. I think some of that was meant to humble Dany. There was I think there's
Yeah, they had to get her in a dangerous situation so Jorah could do the hero moment for his send off. So.
But also, I think to just sort of make it feel like Dany isn't invincible, like when she couldn't burn the Night King, she, Drogon almost gets overwhelmed, and the only way Drogon can escape is to throw her off. Like, I think that's all meant to like make you feel like Dany is vulnerable in a way that she isn't usually portrayed as like a vulnerable character. I know there's people in the chat talking about how she has plot armor. I mean, she's clearly one of the three major fucking protagonists now with Jon and Cersei. So like, she's not dying right away. So, and I found that very affecting. Like it was pretty well done. Like Drogon getting overwhelmed. I was like, oh my god, can Drogon just not die? Like, I think Matt Gaiman was telling me that Rhaegal is in the trailer for the next episode, so he didn't die, but it looked like he died to me. So
yeah, there was a point where we were trying to figure out if he was dead or not, but we definitely saw him like towards the end of the episode. So we do know the two non-undead dragons are still kicking. Rhaegal may be a little worse for the wear, but
I think Rhaegal's hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he did get the most fucked up by Viserion. I honestly didn't find the return of Viserion very threatening or very effective. I was like, it felt kind of like, oh, okay, so I guess he's back. Like,
oh, cool.
Like I found the moment where they like double team on him and the Night King falls off and they rip him apart, and it's like, okay, that's really cool. And then Night King, oh, he's invincible to fire. That's awesome. Like, but then he just comes back and is breathing flames and all that stuff. Like, I don't know.
It sort of felt like the Night King, like as big a deal as it was for him to get one of the dragons in the first place, it seemed like he didn't care that much once he got to the Godswood. He was just like, fucking whatever.
I mean, I clearly the Night King felt invincible. I guess that's one of the.
Like sacrificed Viserion to get to where he was, but it felt like I was just like, I don't know, man. Maybe we should hang on to that guy. He was pretty helpful.
Yeah. Anything else in the middle sequence? I mean, what about the Melisandre Arya? I mean, we kind of danced around a little bit. Alla just grunted over there.
For some reason, prophecy exists for that, but doesn't exist for anything else. I don't.
But it's
understand.
not really like. I mean, it's prophecy in the sense that Melisandre said they would see each other again, which is like the classic.
Melisandre said that she would close the eyes, brown eyes, green eyes, blue eyes.
Blue eyes, yeah. So I mean, it's nice that they had, I guess, figured out who they were gonna have kill the Night's King back in season 3, but like.
But they said, but it was 3 years ago that they. I mean, this is what they said in the interview 3 years ago. That I think they got it from George. You all say that they decided themselves.
The way they worded it in the thing, they were like, when we decided to have Arya, I'm pretty sure that's what they said. And like Jesse said, they definitely justified it with something along the lines of saying like having Jon do it would have been.
Yeah, they said, well, Jon doing it, Dany doing it, that's too straightforward. We want Arya to do it. But I mean, like, I think it's not even just that blood. It pays off literally one of the major Arya, like, sayings, right? Yeah. What do we say to the God of Death?
Right.
Not today.
It just feels like, I don't know, it does feel like, because they're the ones who set up the setup, though, for Arya, so it's like, I don't know, it just feels like it's all them to me.
Maybe.
Which, it's at least nice that they did set up their own payoff, like, even if it's not how we kind of wanted it to go down.
I mean, I have zero problem, if we're just going to jump into the conclusion of this episode, like,
yeah, whatever.
I mean, we were all over the place. I have zero problem with Arya killing the Night King. Like,
yeah, I don't have a problem with that. It's just like...
I do.
I have a problem with them not paying off any of the other prophecy, like, from the books.
Yes. Like, but I guess
I have a major problem with anyone besides Jon killing the Night King.
What about Dany? What if it had been Dany?
Nope.
But what if Arya is Azor Ahai?
What if what if Arya is? I mean, it is clear.
Where was she born amid salt and smoke?
I mean, here's the fundamental thing. Like, and this is
reborn in Bravos.
I guess I'm sure there will be many a YouTube video about finding the different things that she fulfills a prophecy. But I think the real truth of it is, and this is the fundamental thing about the show's storytelling, is that over time they clearly make decisions about what they want to pay off, and paying off the prophecy things is not what they're interested in. Like, they're just not interested in that. Like, paying off Azor Ahai, which was at the end of the day the prophecy that survived the longest of the show, it's just like literally they don't give a shit.
I mean, if you really want to get deep with it too, you could say something along the lines of like Jon sacrificed his love, which was like Egret, to come back and be the hero. Like Jon's still the one who pulled all these people together. He caused the Night King to die by forging the sword that is everyone working together. Or like, you can pile metaphor on it all day to get where you need to go to say whoever you want is whoever at this point.
I will say that we were doing this podcast over the show, and if I had never read the books, I would not ever have a problem with Arya killing the Night King. Like,
Fair.
I would not in any way. Like, I don't think that was done poorly. I thought the scene was cool. I like Arya a lot. I think, like, her character arc is super interesting. Like, I enjoy that a Stark defended Winterfell. I think that is really cool and thematic. And I hope people enjoyed it. I really do. I felt very unfulfilled, and it's hard for me to, like, project that on people because I don't want people to not like it or something, but, like, I just am disgusted.
If Jon still has like his big moment though, will that make it okay for you?
But
Like,
what's his big? I mean, how am I put this? What's Jon's big moment here? Like all of the
These years
mythos.
he will, but like the only big moment I cared about was ending the long night. Like I always thought that that like Aaron was right and I was wrong. I always thought that all the political intrigue stuff was tinfoil and the long night would matter way more, and it doesn't, and that sucks. And like that sucks to me. That doesn't suck to him
It sucks
or
to me
other
too.
people. I just put a lot more eggs in that basket because I found it way more interesting.
I mean, I agree with you.
I'm not saying this isn't interesting, but now like we just have 3 episodes of Mad Queen Cersei, and like I love Lena Headey. Like I'm gonna enjoy it, I guess. Maybe I don't know. I
mean, how am I put this?
Reading or being into something since 6th grade and just being like,
But
I feel like I'm rewatching season 5 of Lost, honestly.
But
Like I don't know.
So don't get upset about how it played out here because this isn't what you have in your head, right? Like,
well,
yeah,
I think
isn't really your vision of how the books are still going to go.
I mean, it doesn't even have to. It doesn't even have. How am I put this? It doesn't even have to be about how you want it to play out. Like there's a. I mean, one of the big I mean, there's sort of 3 fundamental positions here. About like what the meaning or what the center of Game of Thrones is. There's the one that is 100% proven incorrect by this, which is the full nihilism, which is the White Walkers are right. This is like Game of Thrones is the darkest thing you've ever seen. The White Walkers are gonna win. They're the real heroes. All that kind of stuff. Well, the show has said that interpretation is wrong, and then which most reasonable people thought that was wrong, but there were definitely people on the internet who thought that was right. Don't want to entirely disrespect them. Then there's the 2 competing ones. Whether the center of the story is the politics, the scheming, that's what the center of the story is. Who's going to be on the Iron Throne? Or is it this cosmic existential threat to humanity, which is the distraction, which is the thing that the show and the books are going to center around. Many people say that it was the metaphysical threat in the form of the White Walkers or the others, and then other people said no, it's the political story and who's going to be on the Iron Throne. Yeah, well, Al is saying over here is clearly the White Walkers in the books, and I would agree, but the show made the decision that the center of gravity is the political story. That like at the end of the day, what they want to pay off is.
I'm not even sure that's not how the books are going to go. I just think that the show played up the White Walker so much more, people expected it.
Al just said dumb. But yeah, I mean, here's the thing. To be fair, the show is giving 3 episodes to the White Walkers, and it's giving 3 episodes to the political story.
You gave 2 episodes to a bunch of people talking about fighting White Walkers, and then 1 episode to White Walkers.
And almost certainly, that's how the Cersei situation is going to go. Yeah. Is that they're going to give 2 episodes talking about Cersei and 1 episode of fighting.
Or there'll be 2 episodes of Cersei and an episode of Jon and Dany, or one
or
of
whatever. Yeah. But like, they've given half of it to the White Walkers and half of it to the political story. But the question, I guess, for people like Jesse and myself, it'd be flipped, right? If we were predicting, it would be flipped. It would say, okay, the political story is going to get resolved, and then Jon, Dany, Tyrion, Arya are going to go off and be heroes and defeat the White Walkers and the Long Night, whatever. But the show has flipped it, and that's a big fucking deal. And I can understand why Jesse's upset, because I'm upset, but
I think this show's
I'm more blasé about it.
I feel like it's a simplified thing. They're just handling one thing at a time because that's the way people watch TV. I feel like in the books, like the Succession and the White Walkers are going to be so much more intertwined with one another that it'll be like a natural flow of both. I feel like both will be resolved at the same time, especially if the Walkers don't just get beat at Winterfell, right? If that is just a show invention, then those two things are probably going to be more closely connected towards the end. This is just doing what television does. We had a big bad. We have to address that situation. That's big bad is dealt with. We'll move on to the next big bad.
It just like truly, I don't know. I'm literally tearing up. It just sucks. I didn't think it would go this way, and I'm really happy. People seem to be okay with a lot of it, and I mean it seems to be divided. My friends who enjoy the political stuff more, I'm very happy for you. I am, truly. I wish I could enjoy it. I will give it another chance, but that just was. I would rather watch Stannis die again, honestly.
Oh my god, that's awful.
But Jesse, what if the Night's King was a decoy and Euron actually is the Night's King?
That would be cool. It just
even this Euron.
He's not even wearing an eye patch, so.
Because it didn't slash his eye, slashed his cheek. He doesn't need one. Alternate timeline.
I just want it. I really hope they nail the political stuff then. Like they have the actors for it. Like
I mean,
I just want them to nail it and end the series on a good note. And like something I did not want is the Jon and Dany stuff.
Jon and Dany fighting, because that's what's good.
Yes, so, I just hate that, and I think it takes away from Jon's character. If they mess Jon up in these last 3 episodes, I will just be unbelievably depressed. Like, I assume Dany will be like, fuck you, it's my throne. Like, I don't care. Like, I was born for this. Like, this is mine. And I hope Jon's just like, I don't want it, dog. Like,
is there any believable way? So, okay, let me just throw out a scenario to you. What if Daenerys has the upper hand and Cersei is defeated or whatever, and Dany just goes all like Randall on Cersei and just like unmercifully wipes her out, and like maybe whoever, like, she doesn't have any followers left that are redeemable at this point, but maybe
so what you're saying basically she feeds pregnant Cersei to Drogon?
If Dany just wipes Cersei out mercilessly and Jon is against it, does that give you a believable enough conflict to be invested in a Jon Daenerys showdown as the final issue of the show?
It's just not in his character. Like, he loves her.
Even if he thinks that Daenerys is not good for the rule of Westeros.
A lot would have to happen in 3 episodes to make me believe that.
I mean, so...
Like, I'm not saying that couldn't happen. Like, the episodes are elongated. I'm saying, like, a lot.
I'm not saying it'll be written well or done well, but I'm saying, like, if that's where we're headed, do you buy that as motivation for Jon to take the throne?
I don't know, honestly. Yeah, sure.
We'll find out. Maybe.
I mean, so here's the thing, and this is something I was trying to articulate in the Glazer episode, but Glazer is very difficult sometimes when he gets into his mode to articulate things edgewise. But, like, the problem that the show faces is, like, what's the political constituency for Jon now? Right? Like, Dany clearly... So the Unsullied, maybe they're dead. The Dothraki are certainly dead. Mm-hmm. But the Greyjoys are in the tank for Dany. Like, Asha's in the tank for Dany, right? Mm-hmm. Tyrion's in the tank for Dany. Sansa's in the tank for herself with the Veil and Northern Independence. So, like, where does Jon fit in this political situation? Now, is the story could end up being Jon choosing between Sansa and Dany, right? That could be what it is, where he gets disillusioned with what Dany is doing to retake Westeros and chooses Sansa and Northern Independence. Like, that could be what it is. So instead of, like, developing an independent political constituency for Jon within the show and saying, like, Jon's the one true king of Westeros, yay, it's more like
Jon will feel the burden of responsibility for the...
and he has to choose, like, which direction do we go? Do we go Sansa direction or do we go Dany direction?
Which, of course, he'll have to do the best of both worlds, right? He'll have to protect everyone, because that's a Jon thing. But I think he'll think that no one should be a single ruler.
Yeah, and then that's basically the Sansa position, right? Which is, we're independent, you guys go do whatever you want to do below the neck, whatever. So I mean that could be the political conflict, and that feels semi-believable from what they've set up and like what tools they have left open to them, right? Because
Yeah.
they don't like there's not like a Jon. I mean Sansa is somewhat distancing herself from Jon, so Jon doesn't have any independent. I guess the Wildlings are the only like independent faction that's loyal to Jon. Like, so where do you create this political tension that's believable at least?
Part of me feels like we're supposed to think the Wildlings are just gone because they were a big.
Who's left? Like, who's left to who is left in this army that they're going to take King's Landing with besides these 2 dragons? And I understand that's enough. I get it, but like, if they're going to build this tension between Jon and Dany, who's going to fight? Like, are they going to play rock paper scissors to the table?
So the Greyjoys, who are loyal to Dany, and we saw a bunch of ships for Dany, so I assume the Greyjoys are coming, right? So the whatever's in the Iron Islands is loyal to Dany. At least I would imagine the Vale is the one. Like you didn't really see the Vale people getting completely wiped out like you did the Unsullied.
Yeah, the Vale people seem to be mostly intact.
So I would imagine that those are the major forces. I feel like again, maybe one of the tensions that and the way this feeds into the political plot is a lot of Dany's army has been wiped out, right? So that creates tension. That now instead of Dany having like her sweet Unsullied army and her sweet Dothraki, plus now the North, it's instead she has this dubiously loyal Northern survivors, a handful of Dothraki and Unsullied, and what's left of Asha's Greyjoy people. So they're now the underdogs, I guess, is like what this is setting up. But they have, of course, 2 dragons.
Maybe it'll come down to single combat, and the North will choose the Hound, and Cersei will choose the Mountain.
Clegane Bowl will happen.
We're for sure. That's the silver line. Like, we're for sure getting that, right?
Yeah,
we are definitely doing that.
There's no way they're not giving me this after everything.
It has to happen, and there has to be some impact to it since they fucking stretched it out to happen this long. Like, maybe it will be a deciding factor in what happens.
Al says there could be no Clegane Bowl because his brother's a zombie.
No, Ala. It's like the one thing the show's given us.
The show is definitely giving us that, so.
The one thing we don't deserve, but we're gonna get anyway.
So what do we think? Does Bran just go back into the tree now? Like, what does he do?
Why would
we're supposed to leave? I don't know what we do with Bran now. I don't think we go back all the way to King's Landing.
I mean, I think he goes back to the tree, but I've never been right about anything ever, so.
Bran's just gonna stay in the Godswood, right? I mean, so if Winterfell is just safe now, like they are safe, then Bran just stays at the Godswood because it's where he'll get most of his power at this point, right?
Maybe he hangs out in that tree.
Yeah, maybe now Winterfell is the spiritual heartland of the North. Again. I mean, that's a possibility. Yeah.
I mean,
maybe he brings the Night King back, and we get a comedy sitcom of them just hanging out, being boys.
So where do we think Arya goes from here?
There's no reason for the Three-Eyed Raven to be in the North. I feel like so. It's like he's still in the North, but he doesn't have to be all the way up there.
Do we think that? Do we think Arya has a place to go now? Like, do we think Arya's kind of arc is somewhat done?
If she kills the Night King, she should just kill Cersei too. Whatever.
I mean, I think she's semi-done. Like, I don't think we're gonna like completely say goodbye to Arya because Arya is.
I mean, I do think that no matter what happens, like I think that Gendry and her survive. I think Gendry gets legitimized by whoever sits on the Iron Throne. Like, we get the Baratheon Stark wedding, probably. We might not see it, but, like, we get that they're betrothed and they're together.
Yeah, we have to start setting up those Dream of Spring marriages. So, Tyrion, Sansa, Gendry...
Oh, Tyrion, Sansa. Oh. So, but, I mean, now that we know that the bittersweetness isn't, like, a bunch of people...
Tormund when they both actually survive.
There we go. A bunch of people die fighting the Night King, and... that's bittersweet, right? Oh, Jon saved the world. Jon and Jenny saved the world, but they both died, right? So bittersweet. So the question is, like, how is the ending of the show bittersweet? So that means, one, we're gonna get more deaths. Two, that does mean that I do think it means that Jon. Good night, my love. It means that Jon and Dany have a conflict, and probably Jon wins and Dany dies. But as much as that literally breaks my heart into a million pieces, I think that's got to be it, right? Like, there has to be, like, the bitterness has to be there, and with Cersei, I mean, Cersei is inevitably going to be defeated. So, like, what do we think that means?
Jaime kills Cersei in the throne room. He chokes her with the hand of the king. Wait, did the Valancourt in the show, like, did the witch in the show say that she would be choked? She would
No.
die at the hands of her brother, or just
term
die?
Valancourt is never used, I think, in the show, right?
I thought the Valancourt was used as I thought the thing they established was that would be your little brother will kill you. I thought was the thing that they
I
established.
don't
Yeah,
think
your
they-
little brother, which
I don't think
it
they
is
ever
talked
said
about that
that,
Cersei was born first in the show.
Yep.
I don't think they
But-
mentioned any of that.
But in the books it says, yeah, they do for sure. In the books it says they'll die at the hands. So we think that Jaime will choke her with the hand of the king. But like, do we think? Does it say by the hands of the show? I don't remember.
That I don't remember.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think the actual circumstance is like in the show is actually alluded to. I think it's just they talk about her kids, and then
It's like the first season. It's like the first episode of season 5, right? Like the opening. I don't remember
Yeah,
It's
what
the
they
opening
said.
of season 5, yeah.
But I don't think they explicitly refer to hands being involved, and I'm not even sure they actually use the term.
I think they use the term Valancourt. They set up that you'll outlive your children and you will die at the hands of your little brother. Is what they set up.
I don't feel like it was that detailed, but maybe.
Like they don't go into the like elaborate ways.
And
in
Cersei's
which-
like, if you don't tell me my future, I'm gonna have my dad kill you.
yeah.
Yeah. So wait, if it does come down to a trial by combat, and the Hound kills the Mountain, and she gets put to death, she will have lost at the hands of the little brother.
there we
It's
go.
not
I
gonna be a
mean,
trial by combat. We
But
ain't got time.
how is the Hound and Gregor going to fight? Are they just
in the
gonna
battle.
go-
I mean,
Yeah, there's gonna fight in the battle. We don't have time for a trial, dog.
you actually think there's going to be an actual battle at King's Landing? I don't.
Yes.
oh yeah.
Yes.
They said there's 2 battles, like 2
Yeah, they
big
did
budget
say that.
battles.
Okay, there might
Episode
be
3,
one,
episode 5.
There might be one in the fields. I just don't see like an actual in-city battle.
I don't think there's necessarily an in-city battle, but I mean, if Cersei
Oh, I do.
fights,
I think they stormed King's Landing and the Red Keep.
maybe.
I mean, I guess Cersei does have to get. She has to get desperate enough to use the wildfire. So maybe Jesse's right.
Or
I
threaten
think
to
they
use the
stormed-
wildfire.
I mean,
like,
fuck, I'm never right, but I hope so. Like,
I don't know.
Jamie-
At this point, I don't know what to think because I think the show has gone so completely different than how it's actually going to go.
Jaime killing Cersei in the throne room would redeem a lot of things in my eyes.
Well, yeah,
but-
because it'd be like the one thing we feel like actually is correct, like 100%.
But I don't want Jaime to die now. That he didn't die defending the North, doing the right thing, and
I mean, I do think one of the tensions that's going to come out here now, like for Jaime, is I think we're going to see a lot more Jaime in the next 3 episodes. Cause so is Jaime loyal to Dany? Is Jaime go back to Cersei? Is Jaime loyal to Sansa? Is Jaime loyal to himself? Like,
Jamie's loyal to the good folk of the realm.
right, but who are the good folk of the realm now, right? Like, that's. I mean, I guess that is
Everyone
legitimately an
looks
interesting
like
question for the character now, right?
Yeah.
Like, where do you go from here, right? You went to the North expecting to die, and now you didn't die, so you're stuck in this political situation where your crazy ass fucking sister girlfriend is pregnant with your kid and ruling over King's Landing, and most likely you have a crazy woman with a dragon who wants to take over and kill your pregnant girlfriend wife, and you have the North and your brother.
I feel like maybe by knighting Jamie, I feel like
or Brienne,
will-
you mean?
or Brienne, yeah. I feel like Jamie will feel more vowy than he has been since we've known him. So maybe like, I feel like he will not specifically follow anyone. He's just going to do what he thinks is right for everyone.
I mean-
The last 2 like full-on good people probably at this point, if we consider Jamie fully redeemed, which he survived everything he went through. So it's
I
probably
think there's a few more good people than you think about. They just might not be as vital to the storyline. Like, I think
it's
Pod
not-
might play a role in something, and Podrick is a to the T good person.
Sure, but Pod's not like a main.
Well, but Pod's loyal to Brienne, and Brienne is loyal to Sansa, right? So, like
Mhm.
that's like Team Sansa is Brienne, Pod, Sansa herself, and Arya, right? Because Arya was basically told Jon like Sansa's the best person I know, kind of thing, right? So, So that's like Team Sansa,
I
Team
definitely don't
Dany.
see Jaime going under the specific banner of any one person, though.
I mean, but I think he will legitimately be conflicted, right? Like,
Yeah,
Yes.
between
I don't
like,
think he's gonna be like. I don't think he's gonna think anybody maybe necessarily is right.
yeah, but like,
I just think he's gonna think Cersei is wrong.
Yes, the one who's gonna try and kill everyone is the wrong one, and that's probably all he really cares.
well, but I mean, so the central so I feel like what the central tension is going to come down to is, I mean, this is the problem that the show may have written itself into, is I'm going to use an inappropriate term, I apologize, like two crazy bitches who want to blow up Westeros. Like is what's it's gonna boil down to. Like it's what it feels like. This, and then two men have to fix it, which is John and like that was
Jaime.
what Glazer presented to us, and the show is now taking one step closer to this. I find that
Ron and Jaime do feel like
extremely
they're on the exact
unsatisfying.
same path. Like
But
they're on the exact same path, and Jaime will have to deal with Cersei, and John will have to deal with Daenerys.
yes,
And does Bronn kill Tyrion?
no,
I don't think Bronn's gonna.
Bronn's not gonna kill Tyrion.
Yeah, I don't think Bronn's gonna do it.
I think he's gonna have an opportunity to do it, but he won't.
Yeah. I don't think he's actually gonna do it though. I don't know. Maybe he will. That'd be a sweet twist. I've always wanted Tyrion to bite it, so. But I
There's
don't
not
like Jaime
very
about
many
it.
things I have hope for left in the show, and Tyrion finally dying would mean a lot to me. I know a lot of people don't feel that way, but man, I would love to see him dead.
I'm too tainted by the real Tyrion to accept that the show Tyrion is different. I still want him dead.
It would be really cool to just see him eat it.
Yeah. I just don't want to see Jaime eat it. If Bronn has to take both or none, then
If we're not going off the books at all, keep Jaime alive. Just have him sit there on the throne. I don't care.
should have taken it. He had the chance.
He did.
He would have the Jaime that would have taken the throne that day definitely would have worked out real great for everyone. Everything would
Well,
have been
actually, Al and I just recently watched that episode, and it's like Jamie's explanation of that is even more self-serving than in the book.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
it's like Jamie's explanation of that story is like, okay, I can follow you along. Okay, the Mad King's crazy. He's asking you to murder your dad. He's gonna blow the city up. Okay, cool. Killing him, yep. Killing the pyromancer, killing all the pyromancers, all that makes sense. But then sitting like a supervillain on the Iron Throne and then being like, why is Ned Stark mad at me? Like, why like, it's like, Jamie, come on, kid.
It's like
well, he's
it's like
17 in the
It's
books.
like that great Magali art where like Jaime has like one leg. Is it Jaime that has like his leg up on the arm of the Iron Throne?
I think that's yeah. No, that's Joffrey.
Okay, there's like a really great Jaime one that I think was a Magali art that he's just like chilling on the throne like so arrogantly. And it's like that's exactly what I pictured.
It's like I can like I was following your logic, buddy, until that like last moment. It's like, you know what I'm gonna not do? Tell anyone ever that this is why I did this.
Yeah. He definitely fucking martyr complex of his. Is brutal.
Indeed.
Oh, well, that's the first time I've smiled all night.
What? Who's half Targ?
Sean Emberley just finished the episode. Oh, man.
Oh, here we go.
I love Sean so much. He
Is
said,
Sean
what a
going
fucking... off? Here's his last few things. Well, so he's talking shit. The thing with Arya just happened. Wow, what a fucking stupid way to end this conflict. So is this the side plot now? It's going to be Cersei versus everyone? That seems really fucking weak and lame. Penultimate threat was the army of the dead, not some civil squabbles. What a waste. How fucking lame.
The Jesse Sean love story continues. So that's the bittersweet moment there. But look, the final question is Cersei good at cleaning her room? That's what we really need to ask ourselves here. But
what is gonna happen with this Cersei baby? Like,
I mean, well, so what the trailer implied that there's more Arya Gendry hooking up. Jon's pensive. Initially, people embrace Sansa. Not Sansa, excuse me, Dany.
Mm-hmm.
Euron proposes to Cersei.
Yeah, there was a couple shots where Euron's just like fawning over her. It seemed like.
So maybe she tries to pass Jaime's kid off as Euron's kid. I think
yeah, I think that basically was set up already. I think we have to see that happen.
I'm just super not into the King's Landing storyline at all. So
Yeah. I was when I thought White Walkers were gonna go there.
yeah,
Not so much now. Clegane Bowl. We still got Clegane Bowl.
we get the Clegane Bowl. I hope we get Jaime Cersei murder fest.
Oh yeah.
Like Jaime Cersei murder suicide. If that happens, because both of those actors are amazing, or I think I'll cry. Like I was honest to goodness, I cried during Endgame. I was expecting to cry in this episode, and I didn't.
Yeah. I just laughed way too much.
I didn't laugh. It was just more like.
And I also was very
nothing.
I had a very emotional reaction to Endgame.
I bawled in Endgame, and I'm more emotional now than I was in it. Like I got very emotional for Theon's death. Like I thought it was beautiful. Alfie Allen is a great actor. I think he has one of the best character arcs in the entire story. I love the character of Theon Greyjoy, and the Bran thing where he was like, "You're home," like that was fucking great. I thought it was really cool, but I am more emotional now, based on the fact that I just feel unfulfilled than I was watching the episode.
Yeah, this was not a good week to drop the ball in the Thrones universe when Endgame just came out like 3 days ago.
Yeah,
and I know like a lot of people earlier were griping about in-game spoilers, so let's not do those, please. But
oh yeah. I was gonna say.
I do think I don't know if Roy would be interested, but I do know that CT and I are going to do an episode at some point this week of Watchers on the Couch, but it's going to be about Endgame.
Sure. I mean, it
the
depends
Marvel
on the day of
Cinematic
the week.
Universe.
I am doing my walkthrough on my wedding location tomorrow. We're going to pick up our self-joining marriage license on Wednesday, and then Tuesday and Thursday I have to stay at work late because I'm on the executive director hiring committee.
Oh, nice.
And then I'm going to San Francisco. So
yep.
We'll see whether we'll see. Let me know. And yeah.
But I mean, I don't know what's going to happen with Cersei and Euron.
Right?
What?
So we have to branch out. We can't just bitch about Thrones all the time.
It's true.
We could.
Yeah, to be honest, though, like I warned people about my Endgame spoilers, and we only actually talked about one plot point that you can predict from the trailers. But I live a spoiler open lifestyle, so I am the worst person to.
Yeah. Me too.
So, once it's been out there for like 12 hours, if you haven't seen it, I'm just like, get on it.
This is an interesting thing. Who kills Euron? Is it Yara?
No.
No?
Well, maybe it is. Theon, I mean, Theon's dead now, right? So.
Yeah.
I mean.
Maybe Euron plays himself.
I mean, he certainly probably plays himself. I don't know. Like, I really, at this point, the only thing I have a firm read on at this point now is the Jaime Cersei killing each other thing. Like, that's the last theory about what happens in the show that I feel confident in at all. Like, my theorizing, and same with you, Jesse, like, my theorizing, my firm belief in my own convictions about what this story is about and what is important about this story is gone.
Yeah.
I
get
the problem is Euron hasn't interacted with literally any other character still alive except Asha, so it has to go down that way, right?
Yeah. Like that's an important part for me to push across. Like I hate that I'm being negative. I never try to be that way. And I do still love Game of Thrones. I love A Song of Ice and Fire. It was probably 100 times, now 1,000,000 times more than the show.
I was coming into this being like, all right, the gloves are off. I hated this. And it's just like, Jesse's been 1,000 times more negative than I could ever be.
He did say he was going to be more negative than CT in this episode.
I just like...
Because I'm still kind of on the whole, like, it's not over. But, like, after that last episode, I might just be like, all right, I'm going to go kill myself. This was a waste of time altogether. Like, I got to see the whole picture first. But I know tonight was definitely disappointing.
It reminded me of BioShock, when you fight who you think is going to be the last boss halfway through the game. And you're like, what the fuck? Okay. I don't really care about the rest of this game.
Totally lost on me.
But I just, it sucks to know I've been wrong for so long. I've been wrong forever. That sucks.
Yeah.
I just
Wrong about
feel
this
that I would have looked at this show a lot differently if I didn't have those convictions, and I do, and I can't get past them. Like, and now it breaks my heart because we don't have Winds of Winter, and I want it to know that I'm right in any capacity. I just want to believe I'm correct, and I don't. Maybe I'm not. Maybe this is George's vision.
No.
I mean, parts of it
I think-
are. Like, I mean, that's the thing that we have
Yeah.
to. I mean, this is
Whatever your
the.
convictions are about Winds of Winter, I think you'll get your convictions paid off someday. But you just have to wait.
I mean, that's definitely true. I think that at the end of the day,
And it's not like we haven't always been open about we're going to compare the books to the shows. So
we've always been open about that. Whether or not the people watching our show have enjoyed that is not always been clear.
That's how we're wired because we are huge book fans. We were huge book fans first. So
absolutely.
we didn't really talk about Mel and her just send off. Like, do we care? Was it dumb? Was the necklace really keeping her alive all this time? Because like she took it off before.
She was dying when she go.
Yeah, I just feel like she kept herself alive all the time through sheer force of will. All right, we beat.
I mean, she was fulfilling the Lord's work.
That was
she
her
had
whole
a
reason for staying alive, but
she had a purpose in life. She said she was going to come back to die. She did it.
It was a weird note to end the episode on because I mean I feel like
that was the most disappointing part for me. Yeah, I felt like it wasn't the correct.
How am I put this? I feel like Melisandre in this episode was what the problem with this episode was, which it felt like rote and on the nose, but not like rote on the nose, not in the sense of like, oh, we've been watching this and following it and being like, oh, this is finally happening, it's great. It's more like they literally told us this, and now it happens.
Right, and it's like on the way through that process, Mel burned every bridge she ever had, and then she just comes back and helps everybody, so nobody can feel bad about it either. So it just feels so clean, too clean.
I don't know. I think that Mel's path was like she only burned bridges because she was only serving what she thought was right. She thought every action was leading her to this point, and she thought that Stannis was the rightful king. She thought that Stannis.
She thought it was Azor Ahai, right?
Correct.
I just wanted one line like, I did Stannis dirty. I fucked up.
Sure, I would have loved some like being like, oh, I just fucked up that guy's life.
I fucked up a lot of people's lives.
He was just a cool dude hanging out before this, being master of ships. Now I just fucking.
I don't know if he was
his wife, his daughter.
Any stretch.
Every person who's ever loved him. Yeah.
Davos did nothing this episode.
I wish we would have gotten more dialogue between Davos and Mel.
Yeah, something.
Like that part was weird to me, but like Mel coming back for this episode, I liked it. I enjoyed it. I loved Mel's storyline. She was never intrigued on these characters.
The fact that there was so little interaction makes it even more of an eyesore that like they just don't know what to do with Davos. That there's nothing left for him to do, and he's still there, and they haven't killed him.
Which makes it seem like, I mean, right?
Maybe it'll be important to the King's Landing fight because he can take the ships. They can take the ships. He can lead the ships, I guess. But.
I mean, maybe like I think Davos is a character who, like, the show's never really sold you on some of his later stuff, like. His disillusionment with Stannis and embrace of Jon kind of didn't land.
Yeah.
And, like, I feel like they were trying to do this, like, parallel thing where Mel and Davos are both like, no, wait, Jon, like, we were both wrong to put our trust in this person. We should have put our trust in Jon, right? Melisandre resurrects Jon, and then... Davos embraces him as like the one true king, or at least the king in the north, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's I think what they were trying to do, and just never quite landed because they just really don't have anything for Davos to do.
It was like Davos would have just died in the Battle of the Bastards because we didn't have like a big there was no like really
Ramsay
big.
would be the big.
There was no positive death, like somebody we felt for in the Battle of the Bastards.
Rickon.
He died just before.
It's in the same episode though, so.
Yeah, that's fair. But I don't like as far as like in fighting, I feel like Davos could have had a good send off there, and that's probably where it should have happened.
I mean, maybe like.
I don't think Davos dies. I don't
think
want
he does
Davos
either.
to die. I think Jon sits on the Iron Throne and he names Davos' hand.
That's a possibility. It could also be that Davos helps Gendry reestablish House Baratheon and the Stormlands.
Sure.
Yeah.
It could be he dies protecting King's Landing. There's a variety of things they could do with him, but they just like Davos is a character that has been chronically underused on the show.
Yeah. And if they wait too long, they have way too many characters they have to pass off death to, and we're just gonna get numb to character death.
Right. Like you got to strike the balance, right? Like I feel like this episode felt under character death, I guess. But then there's always the problem that you just start killing off characters left and right, and then
we had the right amount. We had the right amount here, I think.
I don't know. Like I feel like because we had 2 major deaths.
We had Lyanna.
4.
We had 3. We had 4. We had Dolores, Lyanna,
Ed. That's 4.
But Lyanna's not a major death. Like that's not criticizing the character, but she's not
right. But like she's a character that had to die that people are gonna care about. So
I would argue that she's just as important as Dolores said. We just haven't known her as long.
Any character that has a following at this point. Like
I mean, Dolores said we followed for 7 seasons compared to Lyanna, who's only been around for 2.
But Lyanna had a strong following for her short time, for sure.
Yes, absolutely.
She's a cool character. Like I'm not.
And honestly, that little girl can act.
Yeah.
She played Lyanna Mormont very well.
She did.
So yeah, we had like 4-ish. We had like 2 kind of not important ones. You want to look at
Barrett's death? I appreciate it a lot more than I thought I would. It was very good.
Yeah, we had 5.
Yeah, it was fine, but like I mean, Barrett got to go to peace, I guess, at last.
Agreed.
Right? So.
Agreed.
Yeah, dude, Barrett's been trying to get killed for seasons. Just couldn't get there. Never got there.
So.
Oh, I guess Ghost. Does Ghost count as a major death?
Yeah, he should. Rip go.
We don't know that he's dead.
We don't like.
We don't know that he's dead.
I mean, he charged with those Dothraki, and he didn't come back.
Only Jorah came back, and some.
Jorah and a few other Dothraki.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Jess was really mad about that charge. She's just like, why would she send her Blood Riders to die? I was like, you don't know the Blood Riders are in there.
Oh, they're definitely in there. Well, the Blood Riders are dead, though.
We saw one of them as a White Walker. We saw one of them as a White.
Yeah. She definitely just threw her fucking blood. She just threw all her.
Wait, I thought all her Blood Riders are dead.
Were they? I don't remember.
I thought they all died. Like the whole thing was like in the first 3 seasons, they killed off like all the Dothraki named supporting characters.
Oh yeah, but surely when she took over the Dothraki,
yeah, she probably named 3 Blood Riders.
I'm sure she did, but did we care about any of them?
No.
Like, I mean...
That's why they sent them off to die randomly.
Well, they sent them off to die also because it sets up the central conflict with Cersei, right? Like, now that Dany doesn't have her cool, awesome Essos army, like, now there's real tension whether or not, like, if Dany turns her full attention to Cersei...
oh my god, you know where the North gets the army. The North is getting their army from the Iron Bank because Cersei never paid them back.
No, I thought Cersei did pay them back.
Who's the army?
Huh?
Dario shows back up, boys.
Yeah!
Oh, man, maybe.
I thought that Cersei did not quite finish paying the bank back.
I thought she made a deal with Sherlock's brother in the last season. That's how she got the Golden Company.
Oh, maybe she did.
Like,
I thought that she got the money from them. Well, did she get the money from them to get Euron to go get them?
Yep.
Maybe she didn't pay that back yet.
Well, because she was robbing Highgarden to get the money, but the money was successfully delivered. Remember, wasn't it?
I thought most of it was destroyed in the caravan.
I thought that crossed the river. I don't remember, but
I think it'd be pretty cool.
I think we're not done with the Iron Bank for sure.
I think it'd be pretty cool for Dario and the old second sons to show back up.
Fighting on Dany's side, it makes sense.
Hey man, and then there's sexual tension because like, which fuckboy is Dany gonna choose?
Yeah.
The dad from Orphan Black, or Jon Snow?
That seems.
Oh, I'm sorry. That was Orphan Black spoilers. I apologize.
Rip.
The Second Sons and the Iron Bank sending the Second Sons to take down Cersei seems more plausible than most theories.
Anything can happen.
Well, the
at this
Second Sons
point.
are still loyal to Dany. They're ruling in Marine, right?
Yeah,
they're really Marine.
Yeah. So I mean, the Iron Bank might just pay them to get them all across the sea.
Or they just come back because they know Dany. I don't know.
I definitely feel like the Iron Bank we will see again in some capacity.
I don't know. I think that the Iron Bank is on Cersei's side.
I don't think. Yeah.
I don't know. Like
I can't remember. Fuck. I have to go back and watch more of the worst parts of the show to remember what happens. It's not fair.
Oh, I mean, we'll find out.
Yeah.
We've been doing this for a while now.
Yeah.
Anybody got anything for us here?
Nope. I hope after all my negativity, you guys still come back next week. We will do episode 4 of The Watchers on the Couch after episode 4. Yep.
Sorry, your pain just brings me so much like
joy,
whimsy. Not just sheer joy, but like I don't think that any of us are in the headspace I don't think anyone thought any of us would be in the headspace we're in after seeing this episode.
No, I mean I honestly thought that I would like feel ready for the next episode, which I don't. Like I don't know.
His hype levels are at an all-time low all across the board.
If you enjoyed it, I am so happy you enjoyed it that you're gonna like the next 3
Jesse.
episodes, I'm sure. If you didn't, I'm sorry. I hope it's redeemable. And
even if the next episode's bad, it can't disappoint us on such a high level.
I don't think I'll care no matter what happens for any length of the show.
That's fair. There's got to be at least something cool for us to talk about next week.
I mean, the fundamental thing is here is I'm an addict when it comes to this. Like, I just want to know.
I still love it, but I still love it. I just don't think will it affect me one way or the other? Sure. I don't care anymore.
I still love it, and I still love to hate it. So whichever one we get next week, I'm ready.
I just want to know the answers, and that's it. Like at the end of the day, I am a spoiler person.
The only thing that I would care about is if they spend these next 3 episodes wrecking Jon's character. I will.
I have a feeling.
I don't think it would be okay.
I have a feeling, Jesse, that neither of us are going to be particularly happy with the direction that the show goes. It's going to be slow. Let's just be honest with this. Like, this episode was really slow. They're all like, the classic, the number one thing, I'm just going to come out here, is the Game of Thrones, the TV show, and rewatching it with Allah definitely proved this. The show is nothing you can finish in 5 minutes can't be finished in 2 hours, because that's, all right? And then nothing that should take 2 hours cannot take 5 minutes, right? Like, they are just the slowest storytellers in the world sometimes. Like, they just drag shit out. And then stuff that you expect is going to take a while, they're like,
wham.
It's over.
Get in there.
Get in there. So
anything they can squeeze the life out of just for shock value and move on, they will. But the stuff that's important, they have to drag it out as much as possible.
Mm-hmm. Or just some shit like Dorne. You're just like, okay, all the Dorne characters are dead in 2 minutes. Yeah. It's like, wait, what?
If we ever go back and discuss like the whole series, like I definitely have tons of theories about like why it was stop, start, end. But that was like, yeah, Dorne and the Greyjoys specifically were their biggest missteps. More or less, basically, I just think that they really never thought they were going to do it. And then when they talked about exactly how long the show was going to go, they thought they could do it. And then when they started to do it, they realized they couldn't do it justice, so they just cut it off.
I mean, I will say I'm getting a lot of like, almost every person who has read the books is sending me bad messages, and every person who has not is sending me. I thought it was great. I really enjoyed it. I love that Arya's a badass. That's cool. It makes me happy for them, for sure. I really am. Because I do like the show. I cannot separate them. I cannot do it.
Look forward to the Game Bowl.
I just have too much invested. And more Nikolai.
Yeah.
I love him.
It's not all bad.
So yeah, I believe that's going to be it for us. We love you so much. We'll see you next week, guys.
Thank you everyone for watching, and we'll see you next week.
Yay!